Someone just presented fraudulent checks to our bank, and our bank actually cashed these checks. What can we do about this, and how do we prevent this from happening? Man, fraud happens, and I can't believe it happened this week too, because just in this past week, I submitted an article to the New Jersey CPA magazine about fraud. That article is fraud in a not-for-profit setting, but still, it's amazing how many times it has come up this week. And we're not even forensic accountants. It's just that all of a sudden it's happening a lot, and people are talking about it a lot. So first of all, don't waste any time, and don't wait. Get on the phone with your bank right away. And one of two things can go into play. One, shut down the account. Don't assume that the checks that have already been presented are going to be the only checks. It may be necessary. It's not always necessary, but it may be necessary to shut down the account. Frankly, I recommend it always, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your first step. But I do recommend it. Secondly, should it be your first step or should it come later? For example, if you're in the middle of processing payroll from that bank account and there's just no time to open up a new account and get all that account information to the payroll company, I get why you'd want to keep your account open at least for a little bit. But get on the phone with your bank right away, because what you can do is like a quasi positive pay. So first of all, I'll tell you about positive pay in a moment. But make sure your bank will actually credit you those funds back. And if the fraudulent, what's the name of the person? The fraudster. If the fraudster has actually cleaned out your account to the extent that you're now incurring NSF fees, make sure your bank refunds those as well as any NSF fees that may have been generated while those funds were gone from your account. So you need the whole kit and caboodle back into your bank account. Some banks, I am sorry to say, don't give you those funds back right away. Well, we'll put it through our fraud investigations department until we're really sure. Are you kidding me? There's an image of this check and it's not even my company's check, or it's not even my signature, or it's not even whatever. Some banks won't refund the money right away. And if that's the case, it's also a case towards closing the account immediately, sooner rather than later, if you're really counting on that money. Open up a new account. Yeah, there's going to be damage to clean up. However, should any other fraudulent checks be presented, you're not going to lose any more money. And so strongly consider closing down the bank account first thing. Now let me tell you about positive pay and also a quasi-positive pay. Positive pay program is a product that a number of banks offer, especially larger ones, in which on a daily basis, on a daily basis, you upload a CSV file of all of the legitimate outstanding checks of your company. You upload this every day, it takes 30 seconds to do. You have to, of course, export the data first from your accounting system, get it into a certain order. You can program a macro for that, or talk to somebody who can program a macro for that, and have that just take a few seconds rather than be a whole onerous thing. You upload it, and if any checks are presented to the bank for deposit, or so for the bank to pay out the money, the bank compares the details of that check, the date, the payee, the amount, against the list uploaded from that day. If that check is not on the list, then you will get a communication saying, do you accept, this check was presented for payment, do you accept it or do you reject it? You can also have a default setting that if you don't get back to the bank within X number of hours, default setting will be, and you decide, will it be accept or will it be reject? We have a client who's using positive pay, and it has been successful in preventing tens of thousands of dollars of attempted fraud. Additionally, one time this happened, someone committed fraud by stealing paper checks and then using those checks in an unauthorized fashion to the tune of about 40 grand. The bank actually honored those checks, and we called them up. It was Wells Fargo, if you're wondering. We called them up and said, are you kidding? We upload a list of checks for positive pay every single day for the sole purpose that you don't honor these checks. Practically within seconds, the funds were back into the account. no fraud investigation, no, it'll take 10 business days to get the funds back. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we did the dipsy doodle on that one, and they put all the funds back in the account, as well as, of course, any NSF or insufficient funds fees that may have been generated. So I'm sorry to have a topic that's such a downer, but you know, it's a reality that we all need to protect ourselves, both from strangers, and unfortunately, especially in small businesses, from those we know. And you don't have to get into a whole, well, it's an environment of mistrust or anything like that. No, you know what? You put processes in place because that's what successful organizations do. They protect their assets. And by having internal controls in place, like policies and processes and procedures that protect assets, it also protects your most important asset, which is the good reputation of your people. So if somebody goes out and commits fraud, your people who did just fine, they did the right thing, they can say, nobody can pin anything on us because we couldn't do that if we wanted to. So that's my answer to get the account closed as soon as you can, get on the phone with the bank so they refund your money. How do you prevent this from happening? A positive pay product will help with that. Also, let's not overlook, manual checks are not secure. They have account and routing number on them. If you send out manual checks to pay your employees, they're getting your account and routing number. Who else? They might be just fine, but who else is going to get their hands on that check with your account and routing number? With technology these days, it is frighteningly easy to cause a transaction, to create a fraudulent transaction. So consider that electronic payments do prevent a fair amount of fraud that would otherwise be committed by using paper checks.